Hi Flosstube. Today is Wednesday, January 15th. I'm back for my second video. My name's Katrina Boyd, the Pajama Stitcher. So people have asked me why Pajama Stitcher. Mostly because it's accurate. Because that's what I do, right? I put on my pajamas and I get comfy and I get my blankie and I stitch the evening away. Another question I've been asked is, who am I watching? How did I get started with Flosstube? And I've mentioned before, for a long time I knew nothing about Flosstube, right? I lost my stitchy bug, watched Flosstube to get it back. So I just opened up my YouTube app and typed in Flosstube. Even though I've known a lot of Flosstubers, I've met a lot of Flosstubers at retreats. I wanted kind of a more objective look at it, right? Because am I watching Flosstube because I really like Flosstube, or am I watching Flosstube because I really like my people, you know? So I just chose somebody at random. And the first person that showed up when I searched Flosstube was Lisa, the Kindred Stitcher. She gets me in all kinds of trouble. She makes me buy all the things. So if you're not watching her, you need to. She does a lot of Blackbird designs. She does a lot of everything. Like, she has a whole variety of things that she likes to stitch. So, and I sat down with my little notebook and I just kept a journal of everybody that people would mention. So the next person I went on to was Michelle, Bendy Stitcher. I watch her because she makes me buy all the Halloween things and all the accessories. So I'm going to later on in the video show you my Christmas stash. So there are a couple of things in there that she made me ask for Christmas, so I'll show those off. I watch Beckisland, Beckisland, and I'll put all of this in the notes underneath. Great finishes. She does great little small projects, interesting finishes, things that I hadn't thought of before. So I've gotten quite a few good finishing ideas from her. Nell at Little Yellow House Crafts. She doesn't do videos anymore. She had 3 little boys, and I think they just took up all of her time, strangely enough. You know, but she did a lot of Christmas stitching. There was a lot of Christmas that I saw from her that I wanted. Nicole's Needlework. Lots of samplers, reproductions, big samplers. Dina Half Stitch. She shows all the things I want to stitch, but I'm not going to. She does big projects. I get my Stony Creek fix from her. I have a huge collection of Stony Creek charts that I get out every now and again, and I paw through and I look at them and ooh and ah over them, and then I put them back. So I think I've stitched 2 in my whole stitching life. But I get to go on there, I get to watch Dina stitch them, and they're gorgeous, and that gives me my fix for that. And last but certainly not least, Leslie at Under the Sea Fabrics. I think everybody should be stitching on her fabric. It's just gorgeous and lovely, and has a really nice hand. I stitch in hand, so it's not stiff. The colors are really pretty and nice. So that's who I'm watching right now. Now, as I said, I've met a lot of Flosstubers in my retreat career. They're all on the list. I'm going to watch them all. But I've got a little bit of OCD, so I have to watch everybody from the beginning. It's like a TV series. So if I haven't gotten to you yet, I'll get there. And if you are subscribed to me, or even if you're not, and you are a Flosstuber and want to leave something in the comments for me, I'll add you to the list. So, and what's the funniest thing that I found about Flosstube is never say never. So I'm going to try to keep that in mind as I'm making my videos, because as soon as you say never, that's the next thing you do. When I started watching Dina, so I will never have more than one project at a time. I'm a project stitcher. I just, stitch on one thing until it's done. Next video, I've started 4 things. So I found that funny. And Becca Slan said, I love Mirabilias, but I'm never going to stitch one. One of the next videos she has, I think she started 2 at this point. So I'm never going to say never. I'm going to try to never say never. So apparently that gets you in trouble. So what I'm going to do today is I drug out my under the bed box. So we're going to take a walk through that, because I'm going to meet with some friends this weekend in Nashville, and we're going to have a finishing weekend. Am I going to fully finish all of the things that I'm going to show you? Absolutely not. Hopefully I'll make a good dent in them though. Oh, and I'm going to talk about my progress before I do that of my stitch all the things, because I have finishes from my 100 things. So let me do that first. So starting 100 things, right? I've finished 2 of them already. So here is the first one I finished. Official Snow Guide by Lizzie Kate. Whoops. There it is. And I did make a few changes to this one. I did not use the buttons that it called for. So it called for buttons for the mittens. Here, the mittens. It called for a button for that little hat right there. It called for a couple of little round buttons there for those little snowballs, and it called for a button here for the little cardinal. And I didn't use any of those. And it is charted so that you can stitch them. You don't have to have the buttons. I added the snowflakes to the mittens, and I added green stripes to my hat, but you can't really see that on the camera. So I started this one on this is where my little sheet that I showed you earlier, here it is all filled out. This is where my sheet comes in handy. So I started it on the 1st of January 2020. I finished it on the 4th of January 2020. Now on my sheet you can see now that it's all filled out. I put my project name, my designer, when I start, when I finish, the fabric I used, and I did switch out the fabric on this one to 28 count natural light, the stitch count, the fabric cut size, and the design size. Here I use all of my I list all of my threads, and over here any notes that I've taken. So and here in the thread section I have kept track of how many yards of each thread that I use. And when I'm done with this, I'll just use a 3-hole punch it and put it in a 3-ring binder, so I'll have it for later. So let me say a couple of things about this project. That was a really fun, that was the back, whoops. It was a really fun stitch. So these are the notes that I took on this project. I added snowflakes to the mittens, which I already told you. I added stripes to the hat. I did not use the called for buttons. I'm not a gigantic fan of buttons unless it just takes away from the piece not to use them. And I didn't feel like that was the case with this one, since the stitched alternative was in the chart. If you use the buttons for this chart, however, you do not need the 310, because it is literally 1 stitch for the bird's eye. you don't need the 729 because it is one stitch for the bird's beak or the garnet. Because the only thing that you will use the garnet for if you use the buttons is this string that connects the mittens. That's all you will use the garnet for. So I would just use the called for DMC alternative unless you had it just a tiny piece in your stash, because that's all you'll need. There was not a lot of variegation in the Blue Coat Blue, which is this color. The chestnut, which is the handle of the shovel, and the stripes in the sled. The holly, which is the darker green color that's used in the sled runners and the ribbing of the hat over here. That's where the holly's used. The pecan is used for the majority of the sled floor, and the whitewash, which I always have kind of a love-hate relationship with. I have a ton of it, so I use it, but I can't really see much variegation in there. So if you're trying to save a little money in doing that project, I would say you could safely use the DMC equivalents for the Blue Coat Blue, the chestnut, the holly, the pecan, and the whitewash. Okay, now the second thing I finished was this adorable piece, which I thought was going to be my very favorite. The Snow is Coming Down. This one is by the Trilogy, and I made a couple of changes to it too. For the snowman's eyes and mouth, I added black Mill Hill buttons. It called for French knots in the swamp water color, which is the same color that the dark colors of the wording is done and is top at. I think that's really the only change that I made. Oh no, there was one other very important change, and I will tell you what it is. It calls for harvest basket for the portion of this that's stitched around the window frames, and the panes of glass are stitched with whiskey, which looks like, you know, it's lit, the house is lit from the inside. So when I ordered harvest basket, this is what I got, and it's not really showing true. Let me see if this works better. Yeah, that's better. Okay, so see how gold, whoops, see how gold that is? This is what the harvest basket that I had in my stash looked like. So here's the one I ordered, the very goldy one. See that brown? It's very, very brown, the original harvest. So this was the original one that I had in my stash. This is the new one I ordered. The new one I ordered is almost the same color as the whiskey. So I pulled this out of my stash and used it. If you were stitching it and you didn't have the browner harvest basket in your stash, I would substitute the DMC, which is the 612, because if you stitch this one, the new goldier one, around, and then stitch the whiskey that looks like the house is lit from the inside, I don't think you're going to get enough contrast that it's going to make a difference. It's going to look like just big blocks of light in your little house. So, and these were both very, very fun to stitch. Didn't take a long time. The snow is coming down. I started on 1/11/2020 and finished on 1/13/2020. It's 70 stitches by 70 stitches. I stitched it again on 28 count natural light. I changed that from 28 count natural. The fabric cut size was 11 by 11. And also with this one, if you wanted to save a little bit of money, number one, if you don't have that older color of Harvest Basket in your stash, I would use DMC. It's used for the door and around the window frames, both here and here. The whiskey is only the lighted portion, like the panes of the window. So I think there are maybe 12 stitches of the whiskey in this piece, and you don't stitch enough that I think you get any variegation, so I would substitute the DMC for that. Again, the whitewash, because I don't think you see the variegation in that. Copper penny, which is used for his nose right there. It's just such a few stitches that I don't think you see it. And then the lettuce leaf, that is the green and the band of his hat. I think you could safely substitute the DMC for that and you wouldn't see any difference. So and then I used Mill Hill Beads 03040 for the French knots for his eyes and his mouth, instead of doing the French knots with swamp water. If you didn't have them, it's fine to use the swamp water. I just avoid doing French knots whenever I can because I'm lazy. So that was the beginning of my finishes. Now, I don't have an under the bed box per se. This is what I have, and I'll tell you why. And this was not my idea. I always learn something at a stitching retreat, always something. And this is a very important thing that I learned. This is what my under the bed box is. And it is an artist portfolio that I picked up at Joann's. Because someone told me you can press your pieces as you finish them and lay them flat in there and avoid all the wrinkles. Brilliant. And it works. So I'm going to show you what was in my under the bed box. This might take a while. But because I am finishing, so on my next video you might see some of these things fully finished. I'm going to fully finish what I can, but by no means. Some of them I have in my mind that they're going to be framed pieces, and they might not be frame pieces until much, much later. So, you know. So here's number one. Yuletide on Thistle Hill by Abby Rose Designs. I love stitching that piece. And there are a couple of companion pieces that go with it. There's a fall one. There's like a hometown Christmas. There's several designs that would make great companion pieces to this one. So that's one. This one is old and out of print. I'm sorry. This one is Oh Holy Night by Poppy Creations. And I do know that I stitched it on Mystic Crystal from Picture This Plus, and it does use a Mill Hill button, wreath button there at the bottom, and Mill Hill beads on the tree. It calls for just one color beads on the trees, but I liked multicolors. I think they call for just a gold color. Do you see what I see? That is from, I think, the 1997 Just Cross Stitch magazine. This was a Save the Stitch. It came from, so I don't know anything about it really. It came from a Goodwill, and it was just too cute for me to leave. I don't know what I'm going to do with her. She's been hanging around for a long time, and I do need to do something with her because I love her. I just think she's so, so cute. Trick or Treat. This is also from one of the, I think it was the first Just Cross Stitch Halloween issue that they did when it was in the big book. And I believe that is from Lottie Da. I'm not going to show you that because that was messed up. This one, Naughty or Nice, is from one of the Lizzie Kate Tiny Tidings. This one's probably going to get finished this weekend. This one came from the Witch Hat wine cover from, you got 2 designs in there. And this is one of the second designs from the Amy Brecken. She did a class for us. This was one of the second ones. I did the portion that said something about wine and put it on there, but it was really cute. So I'm going to frame this little piece to display with that one because I do use that one for a model. This one, very embarrassing, but I'm going to show you anyways. This is my oldest son's Christmas stocking. My oldest son will be 20 years old in July. Yep. But it is going to the finisher in January. And I did make some changes to this one. This is by Margaret and Margaret. And I believe her designs are still available online as PDFs. Or you can order directly from her at margaretandmargaret.com, I believe. So the change that I made to this one is between those hearts there, between those hearts are supposed to just be little white stitches, and the same thing for the snow falling down, the snowflakes. And I used Mill Hill Petite beads for that, just because I liked it better. I thought it fancied it up a little bit for Christmas stockings. Also equally embarrassing because my second son just turned 18 a few days ago. His stocking. Also the Night Before Christmas series. I also used the beads between the hearts there. And I used beads as ornaments on the Christmas tree as well. And for the cranberries in the, or holly berries in that vine. And I loved them. They were just great, fun little stitches. Again, going to the finisher in January. I'm going to see her at the Elizabethtown get together that I go to once a month. I haven't been to them forever because I've been so busy working, but I'm going in January as long as the weather holds out. So here is a Thanksgiving sampling, I believe, from Heart and Hand Needlework. This one will probably get finished this weekend, so you'll see that one FFO'd when I come back. Count Your Blessings. This one was done by Silver Creek Samplings. Also a very fun stitch. And down here under you can see I put the Boyds there. On the pattern it shows just initials, and you do get the alphabet in that one to personalize it. V is for Valentine, Heartstring Samplery. I love these. And the mystery box of 100 things. There are a couple of those in there. Recipe for a Snowman was a kit at one time. I think you can still get it as a chart from Pine Mountain. The fabric, this is Heatherfield, is no longer made. So when they stopped making the Heatherfield, they stopped making this kit. And you can see it's all done up. I just have to make the insert for that. But you can still get the chart from that, from Pine Mountain. Nativity Row by Bent Creek. I collect nativities, so I try to do a nativity piece, even if it's just a tiny piece every year. But that's Nativity Row, and that's done on one of Leslie's fabrics. I can't remember which one at this particular time, but that is done on one of Leslie's fabrics. It's either Winterbrook, or there's another one that's very similar. Getting Old Isn't for Sissies. This is a Lizzie Kate. My mom actually stitched this one on doubloon from Picture This Plus. So I'll be finishing that one for her. Should have finished it a long time ago. Just Married, stitched on African Daisy. This one is a Lizzie Kate as well. My mom stitched this one for me and my husband. She did not stitch it in 1998, but that one's probably going to get finished this weekend because I have all the stuff to finish it. I just need to do it. Winter Blues. This one is a freebie pattern, and I believe, I can't remember who from, but it is a freebie. And it's done on a Joblin, and it's a Witchelt Joblin, and I believe it's called Winter Sky. Not what it called for, but that's what I used. Merry and Bright is another one of the Lizzie Kate Tiny Tidings, and I pressed these all flat with Best Press, which is the most fabulous thing invented. And again, I learned about it at a retreat. It will press your pieces just as flat as a flounder. Like, they will be flat. So no creases. This is ABC Pumpkin, I think, from JBW. Gave that away at a retreat in a box. This is another Tiny Tidings from Lizzie Kate. All the Tiny Tidings that I've just shown are from the same leaflet, but I just don't remember which one, I'm sorry to say. Ho Ho Ho, Let It Snow. All the Tiny Tidings have a good chance of getting finished this weekend. Warm Wishes, also a Tiny Tidings piece. And I did use the button pack, but I believe if you don't want to use the button pack with all of her things, I believe where you would use the button are stitched, so you don't have to have the button pack. This one is from the 1997 ornament issue. Thought he was adorable. This was a Lizzie Kate kit. Halloween. I have all the things to finish it too, so it may get finished over the weekend. Kringle's Coal also came out of one of the ornament issues, but I can't remember which one. And I think I stitched him on 36 count with one thread over two. And I also coffee and tea dyed the fabric, although that's not showing up real well on the camera. It is a little bit darker. This one came from the 1997 ornament issue. I'm stitching my way through the 97 all the way up to present day, and one of these days I'll get it done. Isn't he cute? I loved him. His big handlebar mustache there. This is a shepherd's bush, and I believe it was called Howl. I stitched this one on like a Rustico Aida or Driftwood Aida, probably before I stitched on linen. This is one of the Lizzie Kate Santas. I'm making him into a big pillow. He's stitched on 18 count Floba over 2 with 6 strands of DMC thread. So I didn't do the hand dyes for him. I Love You More. I believe that is a Bent Creek. Another of the Lizzie Kate Santas. He is stitched with the hand dyes. Just on like a 28 count natural linen, I'm sure. See a theme here. I love to stitch Christmas. I don't have room for all my Christmas stuff even that I've stitched. This came from the 97 ornament issue. Fun little stitch. This, I believe, is, the company was called Gentle Pursuit. It is no longer available, but they did these little heart patterns, and I did this one for my husband. I don't know if it will get framed. I think I'm going to frame this one and put it with our wedding pictures. It says in the center heart here, the one in the center, says, "Every time you leave this room, my heart goes with you." That's sweet. Again with DMC. This is Bent Creek The Seasons. I think it was stitched on the called for fabric with the called for threads. Adorable. Still available. This one has a lot of changes. And I believe this is With Thy Needle and Thread. I stitched it on, I think, a 28 count Floba over 2. And all of those threads are Dinky Dyes, the wool and silk yarn that they sell that is escaping me at the moment. But it was a fun stitch. This one's going to be a pillow, and this one might get done over the weekend because one of the ladies that's meeting with us for our finishing is a masterful pillow maker. So I might beg and cry and see if she will finish that pillow for me because I don't want to mess it up. It's so pretty. This was the Christmas Mantle by Bent Creek. Obviously I love Bent Creek. What's not to love, really? They're quick. I used to be a big sampler girl, and when I say big samplers, I mean like if Hands Across the Sea had been a thing then, that's what I would have stitched. And then when I had my children, I wanted stitching time and I didn't always get it, so I needed some kind of instant gratification projects. And that's when I got on to like Lizzie Kate and Bent Creek, Heart and Hand, some things that I could stitch and I could see them get finished and, you know, would still have time to stitch with my babies while they were napping or whatever. This one is Blessings Be Thine. This one is in the Home for the Holidays book, but I stitched it when it was one of the loose feathers. And I stitched it on amber with the called for threads. That was a Christmas present from my mom one year in my for my Christmas stash. And I loved stitching it. And it's so pretty. I think this is another one that's going to get framed in just a little square frame. Probably no mats. But it was a blackbird design, and I don't think those things, you know, sometimes those things lend themselves to just a simple frame. Like you don't really need all the matting. This one is called Wash a Day, and I believe it was Canterbury Designs, and it is also out of print. This is another one that will get framed. This one I love too. This one is called Spooky Hollow by Lindy Lane Designs. I do not think it's available anymore unless you can find a shop that has it in backstock. That was a fun stitch. I stitched that on I believe Cauldron from Picture This Plus. Let Her Snow. I can't. I'm having a block about who the designer is. Also out of print though. But they're still, those are still pretty easy to find. There's Let Her Snow 2, and Sletter Kids, I think. All very, very cute. This one is Baby It's Cold Outside by Sisters and Best Friends. I think this one's going to become a pillow too. I loved it. It was a fun stitch. So much fun to stitch. And this little snowman with his little carrot nose and those star buttons. Adorableness. Let It Snow. This one's also stitched on Ada. It came from a Leisure Arts magazine. There was a whole series of them. My mom stitched for me the summer one, I think, and it's hanging in my house, so this one needs to get framed and hang up there beside it. And then I need to do spring and autumn. I still have the magazines that they came out of. Quick stitch. It's a lot of repetitive, you know, pattern, so very, very quick stitch. This one is Snow Days by Waxing Moon. I did this one as a stitch along 100 years ago. I think you can still get this one on their website, but I don't know that it's in actual print anymore. I don't know that you could actually get it from one of your shops, but you should still be able to get it from the Waxing Moon website. This one was called Winter Slumber by Midnight Stitching, maybe? Midnight Stitching. Also out of print. I don't think they're producing anything anymore. These little sweetheart owls were stitched by my mom. So it's this piece and this piece, and they go together. They get framed together or separately, hung side by side. Cherry Hill Stitchery are those. This one I love, and I'll show it to you, and it is out of print and it is heartbreaking, but I have to show it to you because it's beautiful. And To All a Good Night. Don't have the chart anymore. Stitched it when it was one of the Loose Feathers charts. Sold it on eBay probably as soon as I stitched it, and it was a new chart when I bought it, if it tells you how long that's been in the under the bed box. And I think I stitched this on Cocoa by Weeks Dye Works. Look at it. Beautiful. That one's going to the framers. That one's going to the framers soon, because it should not be under the bed. It should be on my wall, and it maybe should be on my wall year round. I don't know. We'll see. This is Main Street Station. That's one of the Little House Needleworks Hometown Holiday series, the train station, Main Street Station. I've stitched many of those. I actually have one of those finished as a no-sew cube. A friend stitched that one for me, and I think I'm going to stitch that one as a pillow to put on my mantle for Christmas. This one is a Jeremiah Junction design. It was probably in a magazine at one time, and it was also in a leaflet, and it was either Bed and Breakfast 1 or Bed and Breakfast 2, the leaflet that this one was in. That was a fun stitch too. Again, been under the bed forever. Okay, now I'm going to show you this one, and I'll tell you a very impressive story about this piece. Gigi. I did not stitch Gigi. My friend Patrick stitched Gigi when I had my shop in Gatlinburg, and she was going to get framed and go up on the wall as a model. And Gigi is stitched on amber, an even weave, like 28 count or 32 count Joblin. Gigi was only Patrick's second project. That's right. He only had stitched one other project before that. He worked in the arcade in the mall where my shop was in Gatlinburg. And in the winter, it was dead. I mean, you didn't see people for days. And we had to be there from 10 o'clock in the morning until 6 o'clock in the evening. The shops had to be open. So Patrick was bored, and he came up one day and he said, hey, I want to learn to stitch over the winter. And I said, fine. So I go around and I find him some things with some Aida fabric, and he's like, no, I don't want that. I want that small stuff. And I'm like, but that's linen. And he said, I don't care. And his first project was on linen. It was a one color piece, and it was a word. It was an Irish or Scottish word. Anyways, he finished it in 3 days on linen. Beautiful, perfect. Like, I've been stitching since I'm 8 years old, and he just whipped that right out like he'd been stitching forever. And I said, do you want to stitch this big thing? And he had it done in about 10 days. Second project. Disgusting. Okay. Home of a Needleworker by Little House Needlework. My mom also stitched this one in 2005. Embarrassing. Should have been framed a long time ago. That one needs to go to the framer too. And the reason this one is going to a framer is she left her needle in there. So see the rusty mark. This one will get framed very close with mats. And there's another little rusty mark down here at the bottom. So cover those up. I'll put a mat on. No one will be any the wiser, except you guys who have seen it. This was done as a stitch along. I did not stitch this one either. My friend Donna stitched this one. And see how close she got to the edge? Well, mine was being stitched on Babbling Brook from Witchelt. It was a Witchelt even weave. And my babies were just babies. And I had been stitching. I had all of the skirt done and this much of the bouquets, and was starting to start up into her bodice. And my baby knocked a sippy cup full of water on it, and it dripped. And all of this pink turned blue. So she said, I'm going to finish stitching this for you and send it to you. And she told me she had cut her fabric too close. She said, I don't know if you'll be able to frame it or not. And I need to take that one to my framer and see what we can do with it. This one, is called Dandelion Dreams by Silver Creek Samplings. And I did it on one of Leslie's fabrics. I think it's done on Avalon Opalescent. The pattern calls for Chime from Picture This Plus. And Chime is a pale yellow. Hang on, let me get the rest of these here to show you. Okay, these are my 12 Berries of Christmas. 12 Berries of Christmas are going to be finished, and I have what I think is going to be a really cool finish for this one, and I hope I show it to you. I hope it works out the way I want it to. So here's Partridge in a Pear Tree. These are Erica Michaels, 12 Berries of Christmas. So there's number one. I should have put these in order. Here's 2 turtle doves. He's been laying under something, that's why I'll have to repress him. 2 turtle doves. 3 French hens. Whoops. Don't know where number 4 has gone. Let's see if I can find him. 4 calling birds. Or collie birds, whichever you prefer. And these are all done on natural light with the called for flosses. 5 golden rings. 6 geese a laying. Now, I hope this makes more sense when I finish it. But I don't know that this needed to be stitched or this needed to be stitched. I don't know. And the eggs are multiple lazy daisies together. So you make lazy daisies around and around and around each other. That was kind of fun. 7 swans a swimming. 8 maids a milking. 9 ladies dancing. 10 lords a leaping. 11 pipers piping. 12 drummers drumming. Stay with me, we're almost done. I've got 2 more things to show. Put on the hat. That will be finished into a drum this weekend. And last but not least, Spring ABCs by Little House Needleworks. I can't get it all in here, I don't think. And that will be finished as a bell pull this weekend. I'm going to do all those, so that whole series will get done eventually and you'll be able to see it. So just a few more things to finish up because we're already at like 49 minutes. I'm going to show you a little bit of Christmas stash that I got. And what I got that was new and great from Hoffman this week for the shop, my favorite things for that. something really exciting for me because I designed a thing. I'm so excited about that. And then giveaways. So 2 giveaways. So Christmas stash first. I asked my husband to get me this, and he thought I was crazy. And he said, "Are you getting ready to divorce me because I give you a portable file folder?" And I said, "No, of course not. What would make you think that?" That's how I'm going to organize my DMC. And I believe Vana has the one where they hang on rings on file folders. I know several people use it, but I think it originated with Vana. So I'm going to organize my DMC that way. I'm too embarrassed to show you how my DMC is organized right now. It's terrible. I'm a terrible bad stitcher. I feel bad about myself because I don't treat my threads better, but I'm gonna work on it. I got organization now, and they will go on little floss tags and hang on there, and I can just pull them from my project, and I won't be spending money for floss every time I need to kit a project because I don't know what I have right now. It's a big wadded up ugly mess. I don't like floss on bobbins, and I think that's part of the problem because they kink for me. I don't, you know, I like them to be smooth, so I'm going to cut them like a skein of, you know, fancy floss, put them on thread drops, and put them in there, and it'll be perfect. Then my hubby got me this for beads. I don't have a huge amount of beads, but my Mill Hill boxes are starting to look a little yucky just because they've gotten put in and out and they're turning yellow, and I got a label maker for Christmas. It was great. Okay, so this I like to blame Michelle Bendy, who makes me buy all the accessories. So Bitsy Bob that I love. Not using it yet, but I love it. I can't wait to my mom had misplaced it and she thought she had given it to me for Christmas, so she gave it to me today because I said, "Oh, I'm so sad I didn't get that." Well, I got it. She just lost it. My poor mom. Okay. Also, I'm blaming Michelle Bendy for this because she bought the model and she said it's going to be out of print, and I said I have to own it. Autumn on Lazy Bear Mountain. Stony Creek still had them. I can no longer get them that I'm aware of. Stony Creek's online store still had them at Christmas. Brave Hearts. I think Nell from Little Yellow House Stitches made me buy this one. Flosstube makes me do a lot of stuff that I don't want to do. So I'm putting that into, that might go into become 101 things because I need some patriotic stuff in my life. I don't have a lot of spring and summer stitching for models, and I need to get on that. Playing with Jacks. Somebody stitched that and it was gorgeous, so I had to own that. Tidings of Great Joy. I'm stitching this one to go with my Peanuts collection that I put out at Christmas, because Linus got up and gave the speech, you know, the read from Matthew. Halloween Quaker. Bendy Stitchy made me buy it, or made my mother buy it for me for Christmas. It went on the list. That's probably going to go in the 101 2 things now. Whew. And then while I was at it, since I had Halloween Quaker, might as well have Holiday Quaker to go along with it. Beautiful. I love it. I love it. Now, a little bit about, before I show you the thing that I designed, I'll talk a little bit about, since I saw you last, I was in Huntsville, Alabama. I'm doing a retreat there. We had 46 people, and we had a lot of fun. Ryan was there from Wild Violet Cross Stitch. Jen from Jen's Stitching Niche was there. Long Dog Stitcher was there. Zakia Lady Wing Stitcher was there. And we talked a little bit about Flosstube and what was going on in there. But we just get together for the weekend, and we overtake a meeting room in a hotel, and we stitch and talk and laugh and just, you know, people of like minds together, right? We get a lot done sometimes. Really, there's more talking than stitching that goes on. There's more visiting than stitching that goes on, but under the umbrella of stitching, right? And I bring my shop and set up there so people can shop and, you know, kind of at their leisure. Well, so I decided that this year I was going to design some of my own things for the goodie bags and hope that it was okay. And I got a very positive response from this, so I'm going to show it. So this is what I designed. I Will Keep Calm, I Will Be Mistress of Myself by Jane Austen. The patterns will sell for, and it was stitched on 32 count seafoam from Weeks Dye Works. The lettering is $9.39, and then you just need little bits of thread for, like, you could stitch this from like your little bits of leftover thread from your stash. It uses a lot of colors, but some of them are only 1 or 2 stitches. So if you just had some leftover stuff, it'd be fine. So that will be available on my website for $9, and the chart will look like, this is the chart that you will get in there. So this is what they got at the retreat. They got the chart for that. They got these pretty little thread drops. And a waxer. I'll take it out of here so you can see it. So that's what they got at retreat. And I'm getting ready to do another one in Orange Beach, Alabama in February. And I've designed something for that too. So, and here was the waxer. They got the little tulip. There were tulips, daisies, and roses that were for waxers. And they were in these little, in those little bags. So I've got to share with you that Ryan from Wild Violet Cross Stitch gave us these thread drops on the little ring, and you can't really see, the camera's not really picking it up, but she embossed hers with a W and a V there at the top. Wild Violet on the little ring. Very nice. Then I had a table mate who made for us, everyone at the table, these little scissor fobs. This one's got a pine cone on the bottom. Isn't he adorable? And I got these scissors off a freebie table at a retreat, and they are fabulous. I think they're just the ones that you get at Hobby Lobby, but they are good scissors. So I got that one. And she also gave me this one that one I put on my Ginger scissors with the little peppermint. Aren't those adorable? So my friend April makes those. She does not have a website or a shop. We're trying to talk her into it. If it ever becomes a thing, because they're gorgeous and they're not heavy. She made me a longer one when I met her at another retreat in October of last year. That is also not heavy, and it's much longer than that. And then my friend Lisha, Southern Ladybug, made me this bottle cap needle minder with my logo on it. Amazing. She's amazing too. I'll link to her underneath. So I'm going to show you the 3 favorites I picked from Hoffman this week when I got my order in. And then we'll do a giveaway, and then we're out of here because we're over an hour. I said the second video was going to be shorter. Whatever. Maybe the first one will be the short one, the first one of the month, and then the middle one will be the longer one. Who knows? I get long-winded, y'all. I know. Okay. I am in no way going to attempt to pronounce this, but this is a little autumn and winter snowman. So I assume there's going to be a spring and summer one by Tralala. These are 14. These are going into the Stitch All the Thing basket. Somebody asked me if I was going to do Mania this year at the retreat. And I said, no, I'm not going to do Mania this year. And let me tell you why I'm not going to do Mania this year. Because my October, November, December is going to be a Mania. Like, I'm doing good with starts until I get to October. And then I swear to you, I think I have to start something every day or every other day. Crazy. This one also. This one is Tiny Modernist. Might also go into the Stitch All the Things. I don't know. It looks manageable. Winter Bell Pull. And there's one more. If I can find it. Oh, another Tiny Modernist. Easter Wishes. You know, she has the Christmas series. And she had a Easter series last year that was the little egg house thing. And she's got the Halloween series. So these are her Easter answer. And I think it will have 3 parts. So this is part 1, Bunny Kisses. So those were my 3 favorites for this this go round. Okay, so what am I giving away? Here's what I'm giving away. Okay, so pretty standard, the same as everybody else. Be a subscriber, be 18 or older, or have your parents' permission to enter, and do not say giveaway in your comments. Those are the only 3 rules. I'll ship it anywhere. So what are you going to get? First of all, you're going to get... so you will need to say one or the other. I've got 2 giveaways, so you're going to need to say one or the other. So either the snow is coming down. You will not get the charm because I used it. Whoop! Sorry. You won't get the charm because I used it. The little snowflake charm. Okay. You will get the threads. Because I kept track of my yardage, I'm giving you the yardage that I used. So I stitched on 14 count. I stitched on 28 count over 2, which made it equivalent to 14 over 2. So as long as you stick to that or something smaller, 16 count, you should have enough thread. As long as you're only using 2 threads to stitch with, you should be fine. So you're getting all the threads. I am substituting, excuse me, 612 for the harvest basket because it was just too gold to tell the difference between that and the whiskey. So you're getting the whiskey, but you're not getting the harvest basket. You'll get 612. And I wrote on the floss tag that I was subbing the 612 for the harvest basket, so you won't get confused. On the little wintry floss drops, see there it says 612 substituted for harvest basket. Old red paint, swamp water, whoops, whiskey, whitewash. I'm waiting for the whitewash to come, so I'll have to add that before I send it to you. Chestnut, copper penny, lettuce leaf, Tennessee red clay, and I'm also sending you a little bit of 310 and the beads. So you can do that instead of the French knots if you prefer to. And these are double-sided, so you could reuse them for another project. So I only wrote on one side of them, so you could use them for another project. Just make sure you mark out the old color so you know what you're doing, right? So if you would like to enter for the snow is coming down, just say the snow is coming down in your comment, and I will enter you for that chart. And the other one is my other finish, Official Snow Guide by Lizzie Kate. And again, on the wintry floss drops, you will get the thread that you need to stitch those. And again, I kept track of my yardage, so as long as you're stitching with 2 threads, 14 count or under, you will have enough thread to complete the project. And I'm frugal-ish with my threads, but I don't stitch it right down to the, I rarely play thread chicken with my thread, so you should have plenty. So in your comment, if you will just say Official Snow Guide there, then I'll enter you for that one. Let's say I will close registration for those on January 30th. And then on my February 1st video, I'll pick the winners for those and get them out to you. I want to say thank you to everyone who subscribed. Last I looked, I had like 221 subscribers. I didn't think I would have 2 subscribers. So I'm thrilled. I hope you'll continue to come back and watch me. It's a lot of fun. It is. I don't know what I was so afraid of. If you're thinking about doing it, do it. I want to see everybody do it. Because I don't have enough things to stitch. And the things that I want to stitch, like Dina, if you stitch the Stony Creeks for me, I can just watch you stitch them and I don't have to. Not that I don't have to. I want to so badly. It's just, it's a lot. So again, I just want to thank you all so much for subscribing and being so nice and so welcoming and so positive with me. I hope you'll continue to come back and watch me. And until next time, stitch all the things. See ya.